All right, now we're moving on to public participation. Community input. Public comments are permitted under submission of a completed registration card prior to the start of public participation. This is not a forum for debate. Policy concerns will be referred to the superintendent. When called, speakers may proceed to the podium, state their name and trustee area, and speak for the allotted time. The amount of time will be announced by the board president before the first speaker begins and will not exceed 3 minutes. How many speakers do we have?
20.
20. 3 minutes. So you'll have 3 minutes.
We're going to start with Gina Porter, followed by Katie Swift, and then Janessa Greenleaf.
Welcome back, Gina.
For background, I'm speaking tonight about the current state of our negotiations with the district. My husband and I have been teachers in the district for 24 years. We have 2 children. We don't live in Redlands because when we got married 21 years ago, we couldn't afford it. To be perfectly honest, right now, if we were trying to buy a house, I don't think we could afford a house anywhere. Tonight, though, I don't want to focus on me. I want to talk about our other teachers, our support staff. I have friends who have been teaching for 12, 13, 15 years, and they still can't afford to buy a house. The cost of living is too high. Our salaries are not keeping pace with that. Asking for a cost of living increase is not being greedy. It is being principled. We are asking to be treated as professionals and to be recognized for the work that we do, because the work that we do is important. As our experienced staff retire, how does RUSD expect to attract highly skilled, dynamic new teachers if we're viewed as a district that does not value its employees? It was brought to my attention by some friends, some coworkers, that San Bernardino City Unified is having a hiring fair. And they're also negotiating with their employees for a 5% raise. Have you bought groceries lately? It costs us about $100 more every week to buy groceries than it did 2 years ago. Have you noticed the price of gas? It's creeping up again. Interest rates remain high. Rents are out of control. Buying a starter home is out of the question for many, but you're asking for us to keep our pay stagnant. I know a lot of other teachers and other educational professionals who have 2 jobs, or teach summer school, or take on coaching positions. I was selling my plasma. I did that until my veins became so scarred that I can barely give blood for a normal blood work that I have to have periodically. Yesterday, our daughter got braces, $6,200, because one of her teeth came in like this, like that way. Our son's last year, same doctor, same treatment plan, $5,900 last year. And I asked, I was like, what the heck? And they said, well, the cost of everything has gone up. A lot of people, not just teachers, not just our support professionals, but everybody, one emergency away from economic hardship. So, please consider that when you go to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Welcome, Katie.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Katie Swift. I'm an educator in the district. I stand here because a 0% raise at a time when the state has recommended a 2.3% COLA is shameful dismissal of the professionals who power this district. Every day, Redlands teachers act as educators, counselors, and crisis managers. We take on countless tasks that never appear in our job descriptions, managing crises, documenting data, and providing the emotional scaffolding our students need to survive. We continue to reach into our own pockets to pay for supplies just to ensure our students don't fall behind. But we are reaching a breaking point. Teacher burnout is not a buzzword. It is a quiet crisis in our hallways. By withholding the COLA, you are effectively asking us to take a pay cut while inflation rises. You're asking us to subsidize the district's budget with our own families' livelihoods. We deserve a contract that reflects our worth and honors the reality of what it takes to teach in 2026. Do not just thank us with words. Show us our value in the budget.
Thank you, Katie. Welcome, Janessa.
I live in Area 2, and this is my 10th year teaching at Highland Grove Elementary School. I currently teach kindergarten. Before I talk about what's going on with negotiations, I would also like to open my classroom for you guys to come see. I have only 20 students because my chemistry of my class is not conducive just based on the needs that all of my kids have. And my staff, my other kinder teachers, have opted to max their classes so that I can get a handle on mine. We need more support. Please come see the reality of what is going on in our classes. Just come be a person. Come see. My primary focus is ensuring my students have a strong academic foundation. Routinely, I must supplement the district materials with my own funds and personal time to create the hands-on environment and lessons that are necessary for kindergarten success. Part of that is not your fault. Part of that is curriculum companies not understanding what kindergartners and TK students need. But I want to be clear. The investments that I make are not to have a Pinterest perfect room. I am not that teacher. They are for the academic success of my students. They need hands-on. They need colorful ink. It's just a fact of teaching 5-year-olds. And let's be honest, the $350 federal tax deduction definitely doesn't cover what I spend to fill these gaps, and I spend conservatively. I don't spend as much as some of my colleagues do. I really give my all for all my students. I went to pick oranges on a tree at lunch because my student spilled his lunch and would not eat any of the cafeteria food. I gave up my lunch so that this student could have something to eat. Seeing RUSD propose a 0% raise for a second time in this stalled negotiation process feels like a dismissal of that dedication. We are not asking for a raise that reflects our full value. I know that is not fiscally responsible because, to be honest, you couldn't afford us at what we provide for our kids. You can't. We need a teeny bump to keep up with the cost of living. If RUSD salaries can't keep pace with the cost of living in our city, then I don't know how much longer I can stay in this city, or my colleagues. How many of our colleagues already can't afford to live here? Please show us that you value us, not with donuts in the lunchroom, but with compensation that we deserve. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Janessa.
Next, we have Elena Martinez, followed by Michael Paisner, and then Cordelia Cullen.
Hello, my name is Elena Martinez. I'm a third grade teacher at Ligonia Elementary. This is my 5th year at Ligonia. I have been born and raised in Redlands, fully educated all the way through. It is an honor to serve my community as an educator, but financially the lack of raise means increased stress as my rent is half of my paycheck. This leaves me with little options for savings for a future home that feels completely out of the question, and also for emergencies. I would love to start a family of my own, but I feel like I just cannot do that with this salary. And this also causes me to have anxiety in the classroom, and this takes so much energy away from my students that need me desperately. I am one of the safe places for them daily to go to. And recently, I've had to cut back also on classroom supplies. I used to supplement significantly, but I just cannot keep up anymore. I would do extra projects and enrichment. I love my job, I love my coworkers, and I love my kids, but unfortunately I cannot pay my bills with love. I urge the board to take action and to offer the educators the raise they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you. Mike Paisner. Ms. Frendler, since you won't meet with me and you never reply to my emails, this is the only opportunity I have to communicate with you. So I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you about the governance policy you passed this past December, where board members committed to act with respect towards fellow board members, staff, students, and the public with courtesy and respect, even when you disagree. You committed to professionalism, civility, and professionalism you expect from RUSD staff and students, both in person and online. There's supposed to be a commitment to the diverse community, fostering a district-wide culture of belonging and inclusion, and it acknowledges that the posts you put online reflect on the entire district. I bring this to your attention because Ms. Olson violated this twice in the past couple of days, and I know you will do absolutely nothing about it. Specifically, Ms. Olson put up a post attacking decisions to use they, them pronouns approved by the board. Her position is in conflict with California law. She also liked a post that directly attacked fellow board members. This is on you, Ms. Frendler. I expect nothing from Ms. Olson. I know she's not capable, but you need to hold her accountable to what you agreed on in that handbook. And your failure to do so reflects on you. Again, I expect nothing from Ms. Olson. Your legacy as board president will be remembered as a low point in the Redlands School District, where the mission statement was forgotten, our finances were in shambles, and bigotry and incompetence ruled the day. That is your legacy. I look forward to the time the next board can start correcting the mess that you, Ms. Frendler, have created.
Thank you, Michael.
Cordelia here. Next is Mark Laird, followed by Erico Grossman and Joshua Hall.
Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, so earlier we were talking about why we lost, how we lost 400 students. That's under your leadership one, and yours, Michelle. 400 students. And I know that every district's losing students, but come on. We need to be looking into creative programs that will increase our student engagement. We are actively cutting programs. And I know it costs money to run those programs, but why do you think everyone's running to all the local charter schools, the other districts in the area? It's because of their programming. And right now, Redlands is looking pretty embarrassing. Heck, they don't even offer a school nurse. That's pretty basic. I wouldn't put my students in this school if I was a Redlands student. And in fact, I know because some of the students have transferred to some of the schools that I've worked at. And when you get students from other districts, the state gives you oftentimes more money. And so if you competitively launched your DLI program like you are doing, and you did it well, ensuring that culture is taught and other things that you've banned are taught, then maybe we could get started on this revenue-generating opportunity. But I don't want to see you guys talking about how we don't have the money. What revenue-generating opportunities have you pursued? List them. And I'm talking like we could be putting in EV chargers at the high school and be making money off of our students from every time they park. And it probably would be grant funded through the state. Ever consider looking into what grants are available for energy efficiency? Our campus is run on electricity. What have you done to lower our operating costs as a district during this time of financial crisis? One. I haven't seen anything. In fact, I've seen you raise your wages. And once again, y'all say you're working harder. The hard work is coming from the culture wars you've created. I've seen boards accomplish so much more together, and you're not together. And I don't fault some of you for that. But I definitely fault the president for the lack of a cohesive vision on a board. And what I'm here to talk about tonight is student success. I'm sorry, under this board, I don't think my students can be successful. And I say my students, knowing that none of my students are in this district, I still care about them. I will still advocate for every student regardless. And I live here, unlike some people that speak at these meetings. And I am an educator. And I do speak quite a bit, as others have said, but I provide insight within my own experience within the education world. And I do that with my neighbors, like I told you, Michelle. Your time is coming up. My community, brand new, no solicitors allowed, and I can go door to door because I live there. Thousands of people live there, thousands of families, right in your area. You need to watch your vote, and you need to watch your actions, Michelle, because we're all paying attention. Next time, don't dig through your purse while I'm talking, which you didn't do this time, so thank you. All right, bye.
Welcome back, Eriko.
Thank you. Yeah, that 0% raise is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Okay, I learned that Candy and Janet protest transgender athletes at the CIF meeting last week. Your behavior does not promote safety or equal opportunity for girls. You're bullying trans girls and modeling that behavior for students, showing how to target people who do not fit social norms. Trans women face the same risks as cisgender women, and in many cases, those risks are even higher. When you target trans girls, you also put cis girls who don't conform to traditional standards of femininity at risk. Recent findings in Epstein files revealed the story of a trans woman who was assaulted by Epstein when she was 16. When she came forward in 2007, the media mocked her identity instead of focusing on Epstein's crime. Cisgender women who are perceived as trans women have been attacked or even murdered around the world. Being transgender is like living with a disability in a world that is not designed to support you. Why choose to bully and make life harder for people who are already struggling to exist safely and with dignity? A new documentary film, The Moms Club, highlights how an extremist group in Southern California has been attacking school boards that support LGBTQ plus students. Redlands and a former RUSD student appear briefly, and I recognize several familiar faces Candy invited into this boardroom. In the film, they were wearing Leave Our Kids Alone t-shirts and behaving violently, even toward law enforcement, punching and kicking. It was absolutely horrifying. I've seen multiple photos of Candy wearing the same shirt that says Leave Our Kids Alone, alongside the same violent individuals shown in the film. This is deeply concerning and upsetting. It is hard to believe that Candy claims to care about the safety of our students. And Michelle, you are doing nothing but supporting this violent ideology. Shame on you.
Shame.
Thank you, Eriko. Welcome back, Joshua.
I want to talk about how transgenderism as a social construct from the elite in government and corporations and all across the board, it's a social construct that was imposed on us, and I will prove it by reading an email from Jeffrey Epstein with a plastic surgeon by the name of Robert Trivers. Now, Jeffrey Epstein has been in contact with multiple people from multiple governments and corporations, and many people from Hollywood and LGBTQ community, dating all the way back to 2009 and beyond, talking about imposing transgenderism onto us before it became a famous fad. But here's an email between him and Robert Trivers, a plastic surgeon. December 17, 2018. It is very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features, the second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects. Heavily bearded men, you would never guess that they had a female bone in their body. First time, male-female is 4 times more frequent than female-male. The first is attractive. He is a man with a penis, that if your fantasy is to put it in your mouth, otherwise you are completely heterosexual. It would be much nicer if the rest of the organism is female, then you get the best of both worlds. So many transsexual women are very attractive and easily make money, which in turn they exert prostitution.
Where are you going with this? What? Excuse me. Hello.
Safety
It's free speech. Contrast the female-to-male version. They are unhappy moments. They are met with pom-poms. The worst of both worlds.
Can you take him out, please? Joshua, I'm sorry. Your time is up.
Can you please escort him out?
Next is Pat Molnar, followed by Carol Rivera and Jenny Johnson.
Well,
welcome back, Pat.
Hello, thank you for having me back here. Okay, so I have a transgender son, and it was very hard. It was a change. I'm talking about diversity and inclusion, and it goes back to people and who we are. I did not expect that I had a transgender son when my child was born, but I love my kid. And if we lead with love, so much will change. The board can get better. I am here, Michelle, and I talk to you about my son and policies that you're producing, that you are voting yes on. They're making it hard for kids like my son to survive. They're saying that we're excluded, we're different, we're all the same, but the kind of world that I see being created over on this side is a world that is homogeneous, that is simplistic, that is ignoring the complexities of the world. Relating this to why people come to the district. I came here, I moved to this area in part because of the quality of the schools, in part because of mission statements like this, that embraces the fact that we are a district that embraces our many different cultures, that embraces the idea of democracy, which is not what I'm seeing happening here, that embraces the fact that we have differences. We are Mexican, we are Asian, we are neurodivergent, like me and my children are neurodivergent. We don't think the same. We think outside the box. My classroom reflects this. I have been a teacher doing great work for 30 years. I can stand by this. I taught your child. You know how much I put into your child. And I put that into every child. Kids come to my room hungry. I give them snacks. Kids come to my room and they don't get it and they have anxiety attacks. I make them feel safe. Kids come, and if Candy's kids were in my classroom, they would feel cared for. They would feel respected. I would not disrespect them. I would let them post a sticker. I would let them put up a flag. I would let them feel included, because the flag that says only this flag counts is a flag that ignores things. This also goes with books. When you take away books from people that reflect the way they are, reflect the trauma that they experience in high school, you're telling them to shut up. You're telling them that experiences don't matter. You're silencing them. You guys need to do better, because there's kids that are suffering, and they're believing and they're blaming themselves like I once blamed myself. Stop punishing the children. Stop making their life harder under the guise of protecting them from sins that don't exist.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Welcome, Carol.
Good evening. I live in Area 5. My name is Carol Rivera. I'm a special education teacher at Redlands High School. This is only my second year working for RUSD, but I have been teaching for over 10 years. I want to bring your attention to certain numbers, especially since we're going through negotiations at this time. And after all, we are here because of a numbers game. When I first moved to Redlands from LA, I did a 5-hour round-trip commute to go to my school site. Though my commute is now only 5 minutes, I make over $12,000 less than if I had stayed at my previous school. I now pay $650 a month for health insurance when I used to pay $0. This year alone, my home insurance has gone up 23%, and my property taxes have gone 3.5%. Utility bills have gone up as well, which all residents in Redlands are feeling. My husband works, and I work 2 jobs to make ends meet. By the way, I canceled my clients to be here today, which at the end of the day makes me feel exhausted and impedes me from being the best teacher I can be. I contemplate doing that 5-hour commute again, but I would really hate to leave my students and colleagues. I am a good teacher. I'm an asset to my school site. But seeing that the board is not willing to negotiate fairly with RTA really leaves me at odds. What RTA is asking for is not unreasonable. We're just asking for a living wage. I ask the board to please negotiate in good faith and give us the raise that we deserve. I want to mention, I didn't realize I had more time, but I've been part of 2 strikes. I know what it is to fight for what we need. And in all honesty, I'm willing to do that again. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
No, Jenny Johnson.
Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, good evening. I am a teacher at Mentone Elementary in kindergarten, which is Area 5, but I live in Moreno Valley. The very fact that you sit before all of us, you have been entrusted to lead our district. That is a great privilege and it is a great responsibility. You set the temperature for the district. From here, it trickles all the way down to Mentone, to my kindergartners. Effective leaders lead by example. The most effective leader said, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." I'm not suggesting that you lay down your life, but I am suggesting that as a leader, when there's a sacrifice to be made, you go first. On December 9th, the board approved compensation increase for yourselves, yet you will not give teachers cost of living increase. You are essentially asking us to do more with less. You are cutting staff like our librarians, our PE teachers, our counselors. My kids love library. They love PE. Can I teach PE? Sure. Am I going to do it the way Daniel Lemunion does? Not a chance. Not with the intentionality that he gives it. I'm focused on phonics and math. I need to get those babies ready for first grade. That is where my focus is at. Our school counselors are the hardest working people I have ever seen. Crisis at school does not take a day off. This year I got hit by a chair by a kindergartner. I've had shoes thrown at me, the first time ever. And I've been a teacher for 20 years. I've been in this district for 7. Our assistant principal has spent mornings in my classroom to make sure that I could teach while he helps that little one. Those are the positions that you're talking about cutting. That is detrimental to my students. Your choices are hurting the very people that you're called to serve. I have been at hours of equity training. I love it. I find it helpful and fascinating. Yet the decisions that you're making contradict making our UCD more equitable, closing the learning gap. It is going against our mission, excellence in education. So just a side note, the fruit snacks that I buy for my 3 children at home last year cost $9 or $10. This year they cost $19 at Stater Brothers. The board's refusal to give a cost of living increase will make me choose between my children and my students. There will be no extras in my classroom. No stickers for bringing back your homework chart. No treasure box for Fun Friday for doing a great job. No Christmas gifts to give to their parents. I don't want to have to choose between my own children and my students. As a woman of faith, as a wife, as a mother, as a teacher, in that order, I'm calling you to lead with excellence. I'm asking you to act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. Micah 6:8.
Thank you, Jenny.
Next, we have Peter Hall, followed by Dale Broom and Jeff Pogge.
Welcome back, Peter.
Okay, so as we just saw, my brother was removed because of his last comment, but I'd just like to say that a couple meetings ago, I didn't see anybody
invite Bay Hamilton to leave when he interrupted Superintendent Cabral twice. And the first time he did it, nobody reacted. And the second time, the only person to react was Superintendent Cabral, and he only mildly reacted. And Bay Hamilton got away with that. I don't care what you say. Also, the people who supposedly defend free speech are the very same people to attack it when somebody says something they don't like. My brother wasn't attacking anybody specifically. He was reading an email between Jeffrey Epstein and some transgender doctor and they were talking about how to make men look like women and women look like men, etc. And I don't understand how that was objectionable. Also, these people, today they talked about, again, how non-binary and transgender people should be allowed to use the bathrooms that relate to their gender identity. But quite recently, a couple years ago actually, still fairly recent, a student named Hunter Heckel in Virginia County raped 2 female students at 2 different schools, and he got away with it for a long time because he identified as a trans girl, and the school didn't want to publicize that a trans girl raped actual female students. And recently, a female wrestler in Washington was sexually assaulted during a wrestling match by a trans athlete, and the girl only found out that her opponent was trans after the match was completed. She was pinned because her opponent grabbed her in the vagina, and she didn't know how to get out of that, and so she just let her opponent pin her. These people will occasionally say something that I agree with, like how the school board should cut from the top the administrative positions instead from the bottom. But then when it comes to looking for ways to cut expenses, but then they undermine those positions by whining about how we need to affirm everybody and fly the pride flag publicly and affirm the sexual orientations and gender identities of students. How is that actually helping students learn? All that's doing is feeding vanity and ego. Okay? Children naturally are hyper-focused on themselves, and they have to be taught how to not be that way. And the so-called adults in the room are actually encouraging them to become little monsters who only care about themselves and nobody else.
Thank you, Peter. Welcome back, Dale.
Dale Broom, Area 1. You know, I just want to applaud the board here and the administration for taking a very difficult situation with this budget deficit that we have. And it's, I hear the stories of the employees, and it's very, very difficult, very sad that, we've had to make these cuts. But one of the things I want to bring to the board's attention is what can we do to bring more students back into the public school system? That is a really important soul-searching question I think we really need to look at. What can we do? I will tell you, I've talked with a number of people who send their kids to private school. Private school tuition is really getting expensive. There are a lot of parents who may consider sending their kids back to public schools. But what do we need to do to restore the confidence of parents to send their kids to the public school, to pull them out of private school and bring them here? Number one, we have to improve academics. We've really got to improve academics. That's probably the major thing that is important to parents, but they also want to make sure that their family moral values are not undermined in the educational process that goes on in the public schools. Yes, they can supplement the Christian education, their religious education outside of school, but they don't want those values and those morals undermined when they send their kids to public school. So the best way that we can do that is we've got to keep the classrooms politically neutral and socially neutral. So we're not pushing political and social agendas in the classroom. That is really, really important. And I tell you, I've been talking to a lot of parents as I've been canvassing, and this is a very big issue. They do not want those moral and family values undermined in the educational process. They want us to stay focused on education, not on political and social agendas in the classroom. And the other thing is, they're concerned about discipline. They want to make sure that we have strong discipline in the classrooms. and that the students are not ruling the roost. We need to make sure that we can get that discipline maintained in the classroom and order so that learning can take place. So I think those are just, I just want to give you that feedback. I think that there are a large number of parents who would consider moving their kids back into the public schools if we can take care of these issues. So that's just, we need to bring in more revenue. And the way to do that is we have to have more students in attendance. So thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Jeff Pogge.
Welcome, Jeff.
Hello. All right. Thank you. Jeff Pogge, Area 2. I received in the mail this flyer randomly. Teacher recruitment fair in San Bernardino City. Reflected on it, I have nothing against San Bernardino City Unified. I was a teacher in juvenile hall for 15 years. Before that, in community schools. I was a site vice president for the union. And we worked all over the district. And we encountered people from all over other districts. And what I wanted to say tonight, I didn't want to address a single agenda item. What I wanted to do was make sure I addressed the idea that Redlands, for all my years and all my travels, was the gold standard. People were envious of other teachers in Redlands. They wanted to be, that was a goal, to teach in Redlands. And now I'm running into people around, I can't teach anymore. I run into people around who want to get out of Redlands and who do not want to try to work in Redlands. And this is despair-inducing. What I see here with the board is, for months, when I would address specific agenda items like the flag ban and book bans, they're neglected. The majority, the great majority of people addressing the board want the board to reject this ridiculous culture war policies. That's why you don't have any time to do anything else. The last thing I want to say is, this board does not want to follow the people. This board wants the people to follow the board.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next, we have Jay Rentz, followed by Valerie Tabor, Greg Britton, and Leah Whiteley. No, Jay? Valerie?
Welcome back, Valerie.
Thanks. I just want to say that once again, your inability to consistently implement board policy is astounding. You had me body walked out of here when I dropped a F-bomb, and then you quietly tap, 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 tap when he's reading the Epstein files in front of a 9-year-old. How dare you? How dare you have me body walked and allow that filth? And once again, you force us to be the ones to hold you accountable. You didn't do a dang thing until people started protesting in the audience about protecting the rest of us from having to hear something that has nothing to do with the jurisdiction of this board. How dare you? Second of all, I want to say that I've had multiple conversations with people talking about all of the walkouts on our schools. Nearly every single one of our high schools, nearly every single one of our middle schools have had ICE-related walkouts. So what are you doing? This is something that the community cares about. And once again, I'm up here asking, is there a lockdown procedure? Is there a plan? We see all these things happening in Minneapolis, pepper bombs being used on students, chaos at pickup or drop-off. What are you doing? Where's the policy? Where's the lockdown procedure? Where's the transparency? I know these walkouts aren't directed at your board, but they are an indication of what our community cares about. So when are you going to start caring about what our community cares about? Ever? Ever? Lastly, I want to use my last couple of minutes to say again, how dare you write me a letter in response to my complaint about discrimination on this board, specifically my representative and you, about how you are not protecting and you are discriminating against our LGBTQ community, my family included. How dare you say that you are committed to inclusivity and do nothing when she goes on social media and talks about how all of these videos they shouldn't have they, them pronouns, screenshotting every single instant of a rainbow flag, respect our spaces, safe spaces, everyone belongs. How dare you do nothing to prevent that behavior? She's talking about her behavior on the board, what she is advocating for. And you're doing nothing. And then you have the audacity to write me that frickin' letter and tell me that you are committed to inclusivity. Well, I have to watch, as a member of the LGBTQ community, watch her say that my family doesn't matter, that they, them pronouns doesn't matter, non-binary students don't matter. How dare you? Fuck you.
Thank you.
Greg Britton.
Welcome back, Greg.
Thank you. The left. We've seen a number of the employees come up here, and they're understandably concerned about being able to afford living expenses, rent, house payment, and so on. And the employees are asking the board to pay them more money that you don't have. The federal government can do that, unfortunately. You can't. They should really be directing their, if they're concerned about the cost of living in California, they should be directing their attention to the governor, the state legislature, which has produced highest in the nation gas prices, double the national average electricity prices, sky-high water prices, housing prices that most people really can't afford. And there's where they should be directing their attention on that. Turning back to things that are within your jurisdiction, I understand that there is a negotiation underway about the flag policy and the having a politically neutral classroom. Parents are the primary, they give their children life, they teach them their values. Parents are the primary guiders of their children, and that's the way it should be, that's the way it has to be. Anything else, putting the government in, doesn't work. But then they trust you, the school district, to educate them. And they want them, you want to have a good education so you can get a good job. The citizens more broadly want the children to be able to be responsible citizens and keep the republic. Way back to Benjamin Franklin. It's a republic if you can keep it. And that's not being taught. Remember we talked before. Only 3% of high school students in America can pass the citizenship test. And that's a pretty easy test. I've taken it. It's a pretty easy test. And then to pass on the history of the nation. Any nation needs to have a common history. This is what we want. This is what we want from you, not the teachers' political and social views and their opinions about various stuff. And if, as in Dale's excellent remarks, if you want the parents to trust you, then you can't be undermining and indoctrinating the children contrary to what the parents are teaching at home. Stay in your lane. Math, reading, science, history, and leave the moral education, the value education, to the parents, where it should be. And just 16 seconds. In Mississippi, a black child is 2.5 times more likely to be reading proficient even though California spends twice as much money per student. Why is that?
Thank you, Greg.
Leah Wiley.